While growing up in Metro Detroit, Woodward is what we did and where we learned a lot. So when the people of Dodge asked us if we'd be interested in joining them there, I thought, man, this could be really cool. Like, this is the company that my family has always been tied to, and we've got a property of Chrysler Corp stapled on my desk. But then the thought came of, what if we prove that we build some of the fastest street cars in the world by road tripping 2 twin-turbo Dodge Vipers with a combined 3,700 horsepower to Detroit? A nearly 1,000-mile road trip in a single day. Yeah, I think that sounds pretty fun.
My car is a 2014 white TA 1.0, number 19 of 33. I bought it with 9,600 miles from a guy in Houston. Daily drove it every day for work. In about a year and a half, I put about 24,000 miles on it, and then decided I wanted more than what I had, and I sent it to Aaron for a stock motor twin turbo kit, flex fuel package, good rear end, good transmission, awesome clutch. And at that point, with that package, I put about 12,000 miles, making at least 1,000 horsepower, just every day, daily driver, pump gas, ethanol, didn't matter what I put in it. I actually drove it to an event in Houston, raced all week. Car got exceptionally dirty, in which a friend of mine, Wes Feltman, aptly named it the mud truck. And ever since then, it's just kind of stuck. It's very identifiable. I really hate washing cars. I feel pretty similar to Superman because he gets his power from the sun, and I feel like I drive better when the car's atrociously dirty. Right now the car has a simple bottom end, nice rod piston motor, still the same turbo kit, really awesome sounding cam, and absolutely no mufflers. Drive the car all the time, even with this combination. I actually flew in to Minneapolis and drove the car with a friend 18 hours home non-stop, and then street raced it all weekend.
He's from Mississippi. These guys are from Texas. And this guy just drives around everywhere to eat everything.
Oh, wow,
so,
nice.
and my family usually stops at the St. Ignace place
Oh,
going up
okay.
to deer camp. So this is our first time here.
Oh.
So there's been a lot of build-up about this.
You're welcome. Everything else okay?
That is outstanding.
fantastic.
Yeah. Absolutely outstanding.
Specimen.
You are kind of a big dude.
There you go. That cheeseburger is doing work now, huh?
I'm so full. I think it was the sides. I shouldn't have had 3 side items.
I'm going to attack Philip's windshield, but we have to keep him distracted because otherwise he won't let us clean it. See,
We
do you see what's
killed
happening?
every bug in Michigan. Now just leave it like that. It's just sad. It's all you get. Oh God, your front bumper's total. If you post that on Viper Owners Association, that is a total
Actually,
loss.
I need to.
I'm a lover. I'm a lover.
Shit, I bet Will got him. I'll talk to you in a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm your lover man. I'm your lover man. Lover, 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 lover man. Got the feeling.
Oh, so he was messaging Philip.
So much excitement in these boxes. Here.
It's closed.
It's close.
Ah, no. That's a blocked off door. See, look at the lighting around the front. Come on.
Oh, it looks open. Dude.
It says open.
Who's your boy?
Oh, shit.
Man, I think the open sign is lying.
Yeah, the open sign is lying to us.
Yeah.
This is horseshit.
Okay,
There's a tie place.
I'm gonna turn around. We're gonna go to Woodward that way.
We're just gonna
Woodward.
The other way.
So I went with the Viper because, well, I went with my ACR Viper because honestly, I just beat on my 2014 TA so hard that I had a lot of confidence that with the proper backing behind me and with the right people in my team, that this car was with all hopes going to provide something that I'd been searching for over 10 years in motorsports. I wanted something that I could drive anywhere in the country. I wanted something I could jump in and go anywhere. California, Florida, Austin, I don't care. I wanted to drive this car, and wherever I got, I wanted to put whatever fuel I wanted in it and turn it up and beat the crap out of it. And I wanted to drive it home. I didn't want to take tools. I didn't want to take a trailer. I didn't want to do any of that stuff because I've done that and it sucks and I was over it. And with Nth Moto, what it was is I had a Supra that made 1600 horsepower. And it was a Texas Invitational in Caddo Mills. I brought what I thought was a pretty big stick to this fight. And I went rounds and the car was going A to B really, really well. I drew, it was the blue Gen 3 that Nth Moto built. I went and looked at the car and I knew the car was fast. But what I didn't understand about the car, why did it look like artwork? Why did every oil fitting not have a scratch on it? Why did every single thing that was on the car look completely functional yet gorgeous? I didn't get it. I had a race car. I've built race cars. I've had fast cars. And this was something else. This did everything I've ever done, and it did it better than I did it. And I didn't think that was possible. I looked at this car. I knew they were fast. I knew the car was going A to B really hard. I got a little greedy on the tune-up, which anybody that's watching this video probably knows I do that. Sometimes I turn things up a little too much. I knocked the tires off on the hit. They drove away from me, and there was not, I don't care what you had. You're not driving around this guy. When this camp gets out on you, that's it. That's the end of the game. Just let off. I knew that. I boarded the pass, and I came back to the pits. I had never been so excited about losing a race. Watching this car drag me all the way down the racetrack changed my motorsports life. I instantly got out of the car and everybody was like, what happened? And I was like, man, that's the baddest car in the parking lot. I instantly walk up to these, dude, this is 5 or 6 guys I've never met. I don't know them, you know? So I walk up to this camp and here comes a couple of employees from Nth Moto. They're shaking my hand and telling me all kinds of good stuff. And it ended up leading to what I think is the best motorsport experience you could ever have.
Sunshine when she's gone, gone.
I understand the risks involved. Yeah. It's more of a, and I need to thank you for even just, I know I'm a complete stranger to you, so I appreciate you hopping in the car with us.
Yeah, no sweat. This is awesome, man. This thing is rowdy. Love it.
terribly surprised by that.
Oh my god. That is flipping amazing. Unreal.
So they're just gentle giants.
Oh, I love the sounds it makes.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, it's hard to get the point across, which is why we wanted to drive these things so far in one day to show like this is real street car stuff. It's not making fun of anyone else. It's just a lot of people want to throw that term around, and a lot of people wouldn't try and do what we just did with these things.
Right.
And we have so much to be thankful for the car itself. Obviously, is the foundation to start with.
No, that's great. No, that's great because it helps promote our brand.
Yeah.
You know? It's great.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Brakes, Phil. Brakes, Phil. ACR brakes are phenomenal, by the way.
Yes, yeah. Unbelievable. That is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
It is.
Not really. I mean, I've been around a lot of cars, but it's more
Like my car's slow.
like
Like my bike was and I was saying it's like between the speed and the sound.
Yeah.
It's like
It's a bunch of cool sounds. Yeah.
What do you think, Jeff? Sick.
You like them?
Holy crap.
You don't want turbos?
I'm gonna have to sell my own.
If you do, let me know. You got a bunch of cool shit.
Into my 401 maybe, I don't know. Holy crap. That's what I was saying. I was like, I don't know if I'm glad or sad that we didn't have more open road. I think that was just enough. That was just enough to be like
2-3?
2-3 once. I don't know what. I got all $500,000. Thanks, guys. See you on the. Hey, dude.
Thanks for coming along. Thanks for being a part of it. Great times. My name is Aaron Miller, and I'm the owner of Nth Moto, located in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So, I grew up in the Metro Detroit area, which obviously kind of being the Motor City has a lot to do with the automotive industry as a whole. You know, as a kid growing up, even before you could drive, you'd find your way out to Woodward Avenue, 696, Gratiot, all those different places. And cars were a culture. Like, it was something that you did with your friends. You made friends by it, lifelong ones at that. And it kind of sucked me in, I guess. Prior to that, soccer was pretty much everything that I did. And then this diversion happened with cars that really took hold and ultimately commanded like life decisions off of it. You know, where to go to school, what did I want to do in life, like all these things that kind of spawned just from the fun, the excitement, the challenge of what making cars go fast became. Nth Moto was started as the idea of what an aftermarket automotive company could be like. I was fortunate enough to have spent some time within Mopar Performance as an intern position and kind of got to see some of the inner workings of what the OE side of things looked like, which was really cool. Learned a lot, opened my eyes to a lot of different experiences and different methods, and gave me a lot of respect for what an OEM style team has to think about when you're talking about a product or a car that has to be delivered to the masses, essentially. Growing from that, going kind of back to the roots into more of the, I guess you'd call it the aftermarket position, more of the racer, the sportsman side of taking something and trying to make something extraordinary out of it, was this idea of how can we take some of the OEM concepts but mix that with the race car ideals and tech, and kind of create a blend out of that. Hence, the company name Nth Moto as to the nth degree kind of thing. That is what we really wanted to strive towards, to look at things a little bit further maybe, or to take things farther, or go and look for those little percentages that ultimately end up adding into something better as a concept. This thing happened with this interaction over Instagram, of all places, that the guys at Dodge, we'd always kind of had little interactions back and forth, supportive of each other. They built this really cool car that we're so thankful that we have to work with, and they always seemed to get a kick out of what we were doing with their baby, so to speak. And this thing came up of like, hey, are you guys going to be at Dream Cruise? And you're like, oh, well, Dream Cruise, yeah. I mean, that's that was always something you looked forward to, being a car person in Michigan. Like you know it's coming, and kind of the simple question all of a sudden spawned this concept of
man, what if? Like, what if we see if some of our customers would get a kick out of taking a road trip? And in some ways, I want to say putting the money where the mouth is on the thing that everyone likes to talk about, how much they drive their very fast cars. There's it's just always a common topic, I guess. And this is the ultimate way to prove that. Like, what if we have this awesome destination to go to, the Woodward Dream Cruise itself, and let's just get in the cars and go. And not just a car, like, let's do it with 2 cars, and then not just 2 cars, but 2 cars that are nowhere near stock cars when it really comes down to it, and yet we want to prove the fact that they drive like stock cars and you can actually use these things. So the gears kind of started turning, and communication back and forth with this idea of kind of putting it in front of the guys over in Detroit of, hey, this is kind of what we have in mind. Does that sound interesting to you guys? And they were, of course, enthusiastically excited and wanted to see it happen. So we reached out to Philip and Will with this idea, and both of them were on board isn't a good enough word for it, I don't think. Like, just ecstatic, excited, pumped up, thought it was could be a really cool thing to do. I mean, let alone like the thought of, hey, we're going to drive, call it 900 miles in a single day. Like, some people wouldn't be excited about that in the most luxurious of cars out there. But we're car people, and we do weird things sometimes because we love our cars. And so this, I don't want to call it weird, but it was like the let's just go for it and let's have a ball and see how it goes. And to do that with 2 cars that are this impressive from a performance aspect. I mean, you're talking about 3,700 horsepower between the 2 of these things. And just get in it in a single day. We're going to just get on the road and rock and roll and hit some sights and stops along the way, check out the Mackinac Bridge. Got a delicious burger at Clyde's. I mean, you can't pass Clyde's. It's impossible to go through the UP and not stop there. And we did all the things that like I guess a road trip little fun thing you would do. It was so exciting that when it started happening, it wasn't just the destination anymore. Like, it was actually the time spent with the people that we were doing it with. And that's this really neat thing that happens in this industry. I said it before about, like, it's a culture. Like, the relationships that you develop in this is really, really, really amazing. Customers turn to friends, turn to things that you genuinely enjoy spending time around each other. And what better way to do it than to enjoy that time in these really impressive machines and get to see some really cool scenery along the way. Yeah, I mean, it was fun to pop into the different towns along the way and get the questions and I mean, it's probably not every day that 2 cammed out, twin turbo, low ride height, awesome looking, sinister aero, crazy cars come pulling into a gas station to fill up. And the no fuss, no muss kind of concept that we try to put behind these cars, being that they're flex fuel cars, we can run them on E85, pull up to a pump, run on E15, run on 93, like whatever you come across, you put it in and you just keep going. And that was super convenient, and from a tech side of things, really fun to see happen in the real world and see general public get a glimpse of it. And we would get those questions like, I mean, obviously when, what kind of power does that thing make? Like, 1,700, 2,000, something like that. And what? Like, nobody expects that answer, obviously. And then after that, it becomes like, well, don't you need, race fuel, or I think somebody said jet fuel at some point or something like that, no, not necessarily, but we're just on our way, headed to Detroit. And, depending on where we were at that point in time, you'd get another crooked look of like you're nowhere near Detroit. You know where Detroit is, right? And so it made it fun. But yeah, seeing people's reaction, seeing little kids wide-eyed when they'd fire up and see the cars shake at idle and all that kind of fun stuff, and you I don't know, man, there's a part of that makes you feel excited that we get to be a part of to potentially give that experience to someone at a young age that I personally got from that Gen 1 RT10 that like really solidified, man, cars. Like, and so there's this cool part of it that you think that maybe you got to do that for some people along that trip. Some of those young kids, and Philip and Will being as awesome as they are, always wanted to open the door and, hop on in, man, like check it out, and like that, not to be too cheesy about it, but like there's an emotional side to that that's really neat that, man, maybe one of those kids will grow up to do something like this too, or have that chance in their life, or maybe it just inspires them to do something that they dream about doing and say, I'm going to make a go at it. Like I'm going to do maybe not the normal path, but I'm going to enjoy doing it. I think that was kind of a cool concept to it. The Viper has always been the iconic car for me growing up. I grew up as a Chrysler kid in a Chrysler family. Like I said, I've got a property of Chrysler Corporation stapler on my desk. Sorry, I don't know if I'm supposed to or not, but that was from my grandfather, and he was a plant manager, and my dad, my uncles, everybody worked within the company at some point in their life in various different aspects. And so, effectively we were brainwashed. I'm okay admitting to that. And at that age and time growing up, the Viper came out, and it was just this. It was such a departure from what you had seen. Like a throwback to the days of simpler cars and design. And obviously, people tie some of the ideals behind a Shelby Cobra to that, and it's just raw and visceral, and I'll never forget my first ride in one, a white blue stripe Gen 1 RT10, and going for a ride in that car, and just the simplest little details of like the speedometer starts at 20 miles an hour instead of 10 or 15, and it's funny as that seems now thinking about it, like why would they do that? Like why? I guess you don't need 10 or 15 in a car like this, and just some of those, I don't know, funny things that you remember, but the car has a lasting impact, and I see that now in all the different Viper Club events that happen, and being in the world that is Viper. It's like a family. It is a family thing. Those cars are super rare, and the people that appreciate them love them. Like it's a whole culture that really surrounds themselves with this odd fire V10 at the heart of it that has this different sound to it that we all have grown to love and enjoy working with. So I think that was kind of the thing. At the time, in the market, there wasn't really anyone doing, I would say, really over the top stuff with Viper. So 2013-ish or so, where this kind of trend of roll racing and half mile racing was really was starting to pick up some speed, and we looked at Viper as a platform that hadn't really been exposed to that yet, and thought, man, I bet something could be done there. We've got this engine that we've had such great success with in past years, and let's try to take what we've learned and apply it to that and go half mile racing. And that was the Chicago Want to Go Fast half mile event, where we kind of showed up out of nowhere unannounced, and all of a sudden had a rear wheel drive car on 18s with a 2006 Viper that twin turbo build, went 213 miles an hour, which at that point in time was nobody was anywhere near that type of stuff with a two-wheel drive car, let alone even the all-wheel drive stuff wasn't really that much farther ahead at that point in time. So it was pretty cool. All of a sudden, Viper people kind of came out of the woodwork that you hadn't heard from in a long time, like, oh man, that was great. It was like, it reinvigorated all these people about a chassis that had, I don't want to call it had been forgotten, but not really thought about as a primary, or as a prime candidate for a build anymore. And man, did that light a fire under things, like even beyond what we had expected it could have done. So the really cool thing, capability-wise, that is showcased in Philip's car is the mileage. I mean, a guy who really, really loves driving his car, clearly, because I mean, the actual numbers he's going to know, but all I know is that thing has in total over 50,000 miles on the chassis now. I think we turboed it originally on the stock motor. Oh man, I'm gonna have to defer to him on that one, but I know that he got like almost 12,000 miles on the stock motor setup before deciding it was time for more beyond that. But I think the cool thing about that is in this kind of car world, I mean, if guys put 2,000, 3,000 miles a year on their car, they used them, that's not abnormal. Meanwhile, we were thinking like, oh man, a 900-mile road trip would be a really cool thing in a car in a day. And Philip's like, we can go any farther? Like, how far can we go? So, which I shouldn't have been surprised, because I think both times he picked that car up from us from being completed, when it was a stock motor turbo build, and then when it was the not stock motor anymore. He flew in here and drove that thing back to Mississippi straight. Like, the second time, I don't think he ever shut the car off, he talked about, because he was so fixated on getting back, because he had some friends to meet to let them know what new had happened with the car. And so yeah, I think that's, performance aside, the capability that is really showcased well on Philip's car in specific, lovingly called the Mud Truck, is the longevity of what can be done. Again, kind of taking that OEM build concept and applying it in the race car tech world. I don't think there's a better example of that than his car. Man, what is that car not capable of? Totally capable of breaking the internet, totally capable of being literally the world's fastest Dodge Viper ACR. Like I said earlier, 8s in the quarter mile with a 6-speed manual transmission on a 19-inch road race tire. His girlfriend drives it to work in rush hour Dallas traffic. The things that you always hear at car meets, like when someone wants to try to impress you with all the things that their car's capable of doing, and you're like, yeah, sure. Like, that's that car, except it really does all those things. Furthermore, I mean, that thing has been out and about and running in the Dallas area for I don't know how long now, and Will is a cool enough guy and a genuine car person that without any sort of ego attached to it or drama attached to it, it's just a open invite, like, come try it, like, show me what you have, like, I'll give it a shot. And to date, nothing has been able to beat it. There's the professional side of me that looks at it and says that this was just an absolutely stunning chance to display what our team works so hard to produce for customers, and that is cars that they can enjoy, not just own. Like, they can use them and have them and possess them and be in the cars, not just have it sitting in the garage or at the shop or whatever. That ties into the opportunity to take Will, being as gracious as he is, to say, man, here, you take Mark for a ride in the car, not him. Like, that was a really incredible professional moment and friend moment with him. And then, but that's hard to
be put in comparison for the pride that I got to have for my family to see this stuff in real life, to meet our customers and to realize that these guys are such good people that we're so lucky to have, because they afford us the opportunity to call this a career, like a thing that we grew up in my parents' 2-car garage with my brother and I wrenching on stuff that was, pales in comparison. My 80s Shelby Dodge addiction of wrenching on non-crossflow 2.2 8-valve heads, like trying to figure out how to make that make power, and taking those concepts and applying it now to good platforms. No offense or anything, but that's basically what the equation's kind of been from. But for my family to get to see these things in real life, and for me to be able to share that, both my grandmothers were there. That's something that I never really thought I was going to have the chance to see happen, and so that's a pretty tough one to top right there. Man, because why do we continue? Because I don't know that I know that we haven't seen the end of this. The team that we have, the capabilities that we possess, the customer base that we work with, the tech where cars are going to even now and advancing, just makes us all question, like, what's next? Like, if this is what we're able to turnkey produce, like, here you go, you can have this, you can drive this, you can use this. If this is what we're able to produce now, what is coming in the next years? It's almost difficult to comprehend in a lot of ways. And that excitement is what got us here to start with. And it's what's going to continue to drive Nth Moto to push the limits of what we're capable of, to be able to produce things that our customers maybe at some point in their time were only able to dream of.